Well, I think as we get kicked off, to set the stage, right? Andrew is our resident coach. Now, I coached for 10 plus years at high performance academies and with tour players too, but Andrew is going to be our guru. I'm going to be a little bit of the background architect here. But one of the things I want to point out before we dive into your goals, if we're roasting, is this camera angle kills me. I know it looks a little blurred out on the...
We're on an upslope.
Well, it's not the up part. It's you in relationship to the center of the camera because you're too far off to the right. Now, this is a super common mistake. The camera, your hands need to be dead center in the video so that you're oriented straighter down the line. Because right now, yes, your hands need to be more over there. So this is a super common mistake for people recording. Yeah.
Hands here.
Yes.
Not here.
Yes. Now, what this does, if you roll the video a little, Andrew, what this does,
club just disappears.
Yeah, imagine that. We can't give you good feedback if along the way the club disappears out of the frame, because now it's going to disappear as Andrew keeps rolling it.
I see. Okay, that's interesting. You point that out.
No, I can't see it though.
No, it's gone. Club's gone. Your
camera position's awful.
So because of that, it also ruined the long-term feedback because it's going to give Andrew the wrong information around swing plane stuff. So if you're too far to the left or too far to the right, depending if and I'm going to say this for left-handed and right-handed golfers, it will make you seem like you're taking the club too far out or too far in, depending on the club or the camera angle.
Yeah.
And when Andrew wants to compare you to a pro, we're toast because their camera angle is so different than yours.
Yes.
So,
I think we always filmed it with the ball in the center because it just, I don't know, it just feels right.
It might feel right, but yeah, don't do that. So a good rule of thumb, and Coach now should have these features, but it doesn't. So what I'll tell you to do is that in your camera, your native camera, set it up on a tripod or whatever you've got behind you, hopefully like a G pod or something that stays the same. It's got these grids, right? When you're using the basic camera, it's really easy to then put your hands right in the middle grid.
Yeah.
And it's always better to have, and Andrew, you might disagree here, but to me, it's always better to be further away than too close because we can pinch in to see.
Yes, 100%.
So even on face on, and I'm a little bit of an outlier here, I prefer my face on videos to be further out because I would actually like to see the whole travel of the club. Most face on videos, you lose the club. And a lot of pros don't mind. I prefer it. But the reason why I prefer it is that we can then zoom in to look at things if we want, and the pixelation isn't so bad. But if you're within the video process cutting off our opportunity to give you feedback, then we're kind of fucked from day one.
Yep.
So what you want in the middle of every video is your hands. So whether it be down the line or face on, the hands should be dead in the middle, height-wise, as well as left to right.
Okay.
Because if you're too high up or too low, that also alters the quality of the feedback.
Yeah.
Right. But Mitchell, don't worry. Even if you give us a shitty angle and your golf swing shitty, it doesn't really matter. We can help you.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So yes, we can make improvements, but what we want to do is compare apples to apples long term. So if you send us this video, then you need to send us every video like this. Which you're not, because you might be, off to the side some other time. So then we'll be toasted. So, all right. So that's that. First off, video camera angles need to be kind of benchmark there. Before we dive fully in, introduce yourselves because you're both on camera. Introduce yourselves. Tell us where you were in your game and where you want to go. What was your history? What you used to be good. Or maybe you're good now. I don't know. Right. So you tell me.
You want to go ahead or you got it? All right. Yeah. My name is Mitchell Arensberg. It's definitely been a long journey in golf. Started sophomore year of high school, shot 62 through 9 holes, first tryout. From there, it got a little bit better over time because we would go to the range, practice short game for an hour, hit some balls for another hour, then go back even later in the evening and do more short game. But once I got to college, kind of hit this wall of about a 3 or 4 handicap. I think it was mainly just because competitive golf made it so mentally straining that you couldn't figure out a way around it. But once I quit, it actually got a little bit better, dropped down to a scratch. But there's just been this level of play. I mean, if an average person came to watch me, they'd probably think I shoot a 90 because it looks very sloppy. It's just lucky pars and throw in a few birdies and maybe a double. But the goal is to minimize damage and just learn better course management, because putting's horrible. I have no confidence off tee shots. Irons are okay. So it's more just build confidence throughout the entire round, because every time I get on the green for a birdie putt, I'm thinking, let's just get this up there for 2 and make a par. It's never like, let's score low, let's get this thing rolling. It's always, how can I minimize damage and just shoot around 74 every round? So yeah, definitely the goal is to gain more confidence, and that'll come from Andrew just dialing in our swings more and helping us out with putting as well, just because obviously if you have a better swing, you're going to have more confidence.
All right. So is under par, like where's your handicap today?
Scratch, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. All right. Well, what's your scoring average? I like that better because handicaps are a bit misleading.
Yeah. Well, I mean, scratch is technically the handicap of the course. So if I'm on, it's usually around, you could say 74 to 76, depending on the rating.
Yep.
Bad days can be 81, 82 if it's really out of hand. But
There we
the
go.
goal, I think, is to start shooting, probably get to like a +1 or 2, which would mean obviously you're still shooting sometimes 73, 74, but then have those occasional rounds under par. Like you can say 68 to 71.
So a hell of a goal would be to break 70.
Yes. Yeah. Not consistently, because that would be in 90 days. I don't think anybody could consistently break 70. So it's just that occasional round under par would feel nice, since it rarely happens. I actually choked one away yesterday. I had 5 birdies and 5 bogeys and 8 pars. So it felt pretty good.
Yeah.
So when you're shooting your highest rounds, is there a trend there of what is the culprit of why you typically go high?
I think it's definitely tee shots. Driver has, I mean, ever since high school too, it's just always been the worst club in the bag. Like right now, I've literally just been taking, I think I took out driver twice yesterday, and it was on 2 par 5s and just hit a 2-iron the rest of the day. So it's every time, it's always because of the driver. Just, I lose confidence in that, and then that just carries over into everything else throughout the round, which I'm sure you've heard that plenty of times, where everything carries over in golf, which is very true.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. Well, and that's why we're going to take a deep dive into your golf swing from a technical perspective to kind of tie it back to what you're saying right now, because the reason why I would argue you most likely just don't have a lot of confidence and conviction in what you're doing, especially when things go sideways out on the golf course, is because you don't have any framework to work from. So when things are off, you're just guessing.
Oh yeah. Every time.
Would you have confidence in the range? Would you have confidence driving a car if at any given moment someone would grab the wheel and steer you into oncoming traffic? No, right. So you're standing on the tee and you don't know if you're going into the trees or here or there, right? So yeah. So I can't remember what coach I used to work with to say this, but he's like, no matter how strong your mental is, like you could be Yoda level mental, but the problem is if your mechanics are fucked, you can't out mental shitty mechanics.
No,
you just can't do it, right? So we're going to find out how shitty here in a moment, but Devlin, tell us more about what you're doing.
It's up there. It's up there. Yeah. I mean, we can pretty much just say this now. Whenever we're speaking for both of us, but
okay.
I mean, overall, same journey there.
Well, that's because you're biological twins, right?
Honestly, yeah, it sure seems that way. We're like the exact same person. We both had the same exact journey in golf, but I mean, yeah, it's like same thing. It's just really the lack of confidence.
Yeah,
it stems from tee shots and irons, and then putting, and then right now putting is by far the worst thing I've ever done in my entire life. It's actually embarrassing if you guys would watch me. I mean, same thing. We're super unconventional golfers too. It's like the faster I play, the better I play, because we could play 18 holes in 2.5 hours, and that'll be the best round I play. Probably.
Well, I like that. I like that though. That's good.
Because I feel like the more time I take over a shot is just me thinking about it more, and I guess thinking about the bad things that could happen, especially with putting. Like I've tried it you know, in college, I'm like, I'll read from the front, the back, I'll line it up, and then I just hit the same putt I would if I just got up and smacked it. So it's just like, I don't really know. I think it's mental, but it's also, I have no idea how to read a green too. So hopefully you could teach us that.
You
Yeah.
think we
No,
would by now with
6 years of golf.
well, in all my time of online coaching, I would say one of the easiest areas to have the biggest impact is actually coaching putting remotely online, which is
Really?
it blew my mind. But yeah, I've been doing this long enough because I just believe there's systems and structure that most golfers, I mean, like, for example, when you're out on the golf course, anywhere on the golf course other than, you know, within 50 yards, I would say that 100% of the time, you know the distance that you're trying to hit your shot, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're on the green, do you know the distance for every single putt you have?
No, I don't even think about it. It's just a give or take guess in my head, and then
Well, exactly. And so if why do we play golf and we know our exact distances everywhere, but then when we get on the greens and we don't have a clue what our distance is, we're just trusting our eyes.
yeah, interesting.
So you actually have no feedback mechanism from a distance perspective other than it looks about 20 feet.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I played around the other day with no rangefinder, and I shot an 82 because I literally had no clue how far the ball was
Right.
going.
there you go.
Such a weird. It was just a guess, and then I would just go 50 feet long every time.
Yeah. Well,
Not fun.
I had one conversation with Bryson DeChambeau and watched him go through a practice session on a putting green, and he completely changed my perception of how putting should be taught. And it wasn't anything technical, it was all systems based. And after that, I've imprinted that on many golfers, and every single person says, well, this is a lot easier. And I didn't talk anything about technique. I was like, yeah, because you actually have a system and measuring tool to now hit a 20-foot putt. Very different. And there's a calibration system that I will teach you guys as well. So when you're playing different greens with different speeds on the putting green, as long as the putting green or practice green matches what's on the course, we can actually calibrate so that on the first and second hole, you're not kind of figuring it out the speed, you know the speed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's another issue we run into is how many different courses. I mean, at least now we're at a country club because I work there, but in the past, I mean, you're jumping around from every public course that you're lucky enough to find a tee time at. You got one rolling at a 11, then the next one's rolling at a 7 because it's a carpet. So it's definitely bad with consistency and with the season changing too. So hopefully over the summer it starts to get consistent, but I think that was definitely a big issue was just jumping around to so many different speeds.
For sure.
Yeah, well, knowing this information now, when we do our next call, we will definitely have a check-in with your putting stroke face on and down the line. But today, what we have is an iron swing and a driver swing face on and down the line. And so we'll take a deep dive into your form and technique to kind of see what makes you guys lack your confidence out on the course. And you guys have described yourself as, we'll call it mental midgets, but you know, I'm
pretty
a little
much.
bit less harsh on that. I'm like, actually, your swing technique is probably awful, and
Yep.
you're just trying to make up with it with your athleticism.
Well,
That's actually
let's cover two bases, and then I'll pass it to you, Andrew, to start either down line or face
Yeah.
on, whatever you want, right? So having coached a long time, I played professionally once upon a time. At my best, my handicap was a +7. So like I've gotten to certain levels that you guys would love to get to.
yeah.
But when I worked with a lot of different styles of golfers, but mostly highly competitive ones, one of the things that I kind of determined is that if we look at the definition of insanity, right, doing the same thing over and expecting different results, that's like the standard one. I think there's a golfer's insanity in the flip side, doing different things all the time and expecting the same results. So you guys show up every day going, oh man, what's it going to be today? You know, am I going to go left? Am I going to go cross-handed today? Am I going to go close? Am I going to try to hit draws or cuts? Am I going to do what so-and-so said on TV the other day? That's how most golfers, anybody listening to this, right, is going to be. It's just like idea of the day bullshit. Yet they expect somehow how to shoot good scores or consistent scores. Not a chance, right? And that's where Andrew is here. Is like, we're going to give you some system. The other, and I can't fully attribute this to Tiger, but the story that I pass along sometimes, which I think is a funny one, is that Tiger's out there hitting some shots with some amateurs, and the amateurs are popping it. They're hitting slices, draws, and every time they're like, Tiger, what'd I do? Man, it's a loft issue. Really? Okay, well, all right. Now I'm going to hit this little, I shanked it. What'd I do? Oh, it's a loft issue. I'm like, man, you keep telling me it's a loft issue, even when I'm topping it, shanking it, hitting snap hooks, whatever. And he's like, yeah, lack of fucking talent. That is the issue. So with that, you don't need to be crazy talented to be a great golfer. I would argue that anybody listening to this has a major loft issue. You have no talent for this game. But if you get a system together and you actually get quality coaching, I think we can all agree that hard work beats talent. Yes, but smart work beats talent, right? You got to have a fucking plan. So as we put this together, like as Andrew and I launched golfhackz into this kind of new arena, the point of doing so is that we recognize that anybody watching this, you have basically no talent for golf. But with a good plan, you can actually outpace that talent pretty quickly. And Andrew and I have a combined, 25, 30 years of coaching. And I've worked, because of Coach Now, I've seen inside how Jordan Spieth trains. I see how Colin Morikawa trains because I had, God view inside of Coach Now while I was building it. So we'll pass along some fun shit, but Andrew's going to be the main boss here, breaking down the technique. So Andrew, roast away in whatever way you want to start. Hopefully we'll get the video better next time for the swings with a little less blown out, but we'll start here.
Yeah. So what I always do initially, I call this a golf swing audit. This is a down the line breakdown. And so I use standard lines, and I draw a circle right now. So I use standard lines throughout the assessment. That way you as a student get used to seeing the exact same standardized lines. So whenever you're constantly checking in with me moving forward, you start to get used to seeing the same exact lines and can start to have a little bit of guidance yourself. So whenever you're practicing and you're looking at your own swing on video, which I highly recommend, it's a requirement within my coaching model, you're able to see what I'm seeing, and so I'm able to start transferring that knowledge over to you. So these are the simple basic lines that I use from a down the line perspective. Top of head, forehead, and I always use red. Yellow is shoulder plane, which starts at the hosel and then works up through the middle of the trail shoulder. And then green is your shaft plane. So I use these simple lines, and me as a coach, I'm looking at your golf swing through 3 lenses: pivot, plane, and impact. And so I believe if we keep it simple and I transfer that information back to you, you guys can start to be better evaluators of your golf swing. And so from a down the line perspective, through this golf swing audit, I'm going to kind of point out all the problems, and then I'm going to also identify what makes you a good ball striker and where can we improve. So in the future, I can build a game plan and get you laser focused on one thing instead of addressing everything that I point out in today's video.
One of you guys,
so we're going to just start.
I can't tell by the outfit.
Mitchell.
This
Mitchell?
is Mitchell.
Okay. He's got the hat on.
So I'm very keen on P1 through P10. P1 being the setup, and understand I don't teach to positions, but we do pass through positions. And so P2 is exactly when the shaft gets parallel to the ground in the backswing. And so we mentioned earlier that the camera angle might not be perfect, but I can tell you that your club head is significantly inside of your hands at P2. So for me as a coach, I'm going to point this out and say, this is very outside of standard deviation. A tour player is in general going to have the club head either slightly outside the hands, on the hands, or inside of the hands, somewhere inside of this red circle. But your club head is significantly inside, which is already telling me a story. Most likely you're going to take this golf club back pretty flat. And so P3.
Thank you.
It literally goes out of frame because of what we talked about earlier, the camera positioning. So anytime we shoot a quality video, if I actually want to teach this to the audience real quick, if I just draw a big X on the screen,
this is
wherever the middle of this X is where your hands should be located at address. So I'm going to go back down to P1. So Michael, Mitchell, your hands should have been here in the middle, but since your hands are located off to the side, it gives me a poor angle to be consistent moving forward. But I can work with this. Like I said, your golf swing's got enough problems as is that are easy to see whether my camera angle is perfect or not.
Yeah, we give it away pretty easily.
Yeah, there it is. A little wraparound. Yep.
All right. So now we're coming back to P3, lead arm parallel to the ground. So in general, if I just wanted to be kind, I would say get that shaft anywhere in between green and yellow would be within standard deviation. So you can see you're much flatter than that.
That's nasty. My
Yeah.
gosh.
So
This is a shock to you? Like you never watch your golf swings? What are you doing?
I
Well,
do.
to be fair, is in our entire golf career, we've only had maybe 10 lessons.
All right.
That's-
So you don't even know
that's
what you're
literally
supposed to be
it.
looking
It's like
for. I
But
see.
we look at it with each other and we're like, oh, fuck it, that looks good.
So the blind leading the blind. Got it. Perfect.
Yes,
Okay.
pretty much.
Okay. Understood.
We're pretty good at that.
And so because you're so flat, Mitchell, I call you guys, you're twins. So I just assume you both do this, but no, Mitchell. So as you go from P3 to P4, there's a big arm lift. And so
Yeah.
now you actually get really, really high with your hands. So I like to use standard deviation as if I go shoulder to shoulder here, generally the butt of the club should be pretty close to that line or the yellow line, the shoulder plane line. So it should be somewhere in here. But
Yeah.
your hands have gotten really high. Club is across the plane line. Doesn't mean you can't play good golf from here, but you've
Bubba.
added a lot of variables. Yes,
Yeah.
correct. Bubba
Yeah.
Watson would be an example. Another way to look at this is club head depth. I'm sure you've heard, or the butt of the club depth at P4. Typically, you're going to hear a lot of guys talk about seeing this off of the trail heel because it makes it easier to shallow it from there. And so now there's going to be a lot of compensation. Let's just see how you move from here. So you go from P4 to P5. P5 is when lead arm gets back to parallel to the ground. And so what you've done well here is you've gotten the shaft directly on the yellow shoulder plane line, which is the steepest plane that is within standard deviation. You basically are more likely to hit a fade from here, but there could be adjustments that happen after this.
Yeah.
What I typically go ahead.
He's hitting a draw,
Yeah.
actually.
Well,
super
it
shot
goes both
face.
ways. Yeah.
Yes. So when you look at the club face here, let's speak to that. So if I draw a line straight up the shaft and the club face as a left-hander is on the left side of this face, the face is closed to the shaft. So this is a draw bias position. But again,
With a
there's
slice
a lot
bias
of motion that can happen.
Plane.
Plane. Yeah.
A little bit
So
of this,
you're
that's all this.
little- And then from a plane perspective, standard deviation, I typically like to see directly in between these two or the shaft bisecting, like think of your trail bicep right in here.
Okay.
Another way to look at it is the hands being located more like in the center of your torso at P5 versus your hands are very left here. So again, you could have kept more depth with the hands is another way to think of it here. Okay. So now as we go from P5 down to P6, shaft parallel to the ground, quite honestly, I think this is where you start to see the athlete that you are, and you're actually getting the club back into a pretty decent position. Because now at this position,
Crazy.
what I'm typically going to look at is spine angle and club face. And if they're similar and the club face is looking more down at the golf ball, I'm a big fan of that. Because now you can just turn and rip through it without a lot of face manipulation. And the club head is traveling down on green, which is where I would have wanted you a lot earlier, but you shallowed it late. And so now this is why you're going to be able to hit a draw because the club's traveling in to out with a slightly closed club face. And what happens right here is your arms disappear with the club head pretty quickly here, which is telling me that you're flipping, scooping post impact. I'm giving you structure post impact, which we're going to see from the face on view. I guarantee you don't have too long arms right here, which P9 is a really good indicator when your trail arm is parallel to the ground, is a great indicator of what handicap you are. And the fact that you guys are already low single digit handicaps speaks a lot again to your athleticism. But you can see we can evaluate plane. You're right on plane. And you can also see that the club face is still slightly closed to the shaft. So it's still in that draw bias position. And I would argue that you finish kind of in your textbook finish position. Look, I didn't delete this line.
Yep.
It's showing that you actually stayed in your tilt really nicely. And then you finished with the shaft bisecting your ears, which is a tour standard finish position right there. So as much as it's fun to point out what's going incorrectly or inefficiently with your golf swing, there's a lot that you do well. And so we just need to refine what you don't do well to make it easier so it doesn't have to be so athleticism focused versus let's just make it simple and not so timing based.
Yeah, because I've always felt uncomfortable.
Would you say just where are we headed with this, right? Are we trying, if we go to the backswing there, are we looking
Yeah, I mean,
less wrap
the
inside
first thing,
and just deeper hands?
Exactly. I think if we correct your backswing, so from P1 to P4 would be my initial focus. So you get to P4 and your hands are more located here to where lead arm and shoulder plane are matching. The depth of the butt of the club at P4 is here. And
So
then
the
you're
club's
just
more
going
pointed
to be on.
up, right, for them?
Yes. Yeah. The
this
club
one,
would be
rather
more
than over
pointed
here.
up.
Yep.
Correct. More here.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you
So then you would be shallowing it on plane and you'd be on plane a lot longer. Right now you're on plane very minimally.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious. And I've always felt very uncomfortable with my swing. Like no matter what I try, I mean, I tell myself I'm doing something different, but I probably never am. And I've always known that I flip my hands at impact just to get that, I mean, get the club squared and actually hit it the right way. Because, I mean, that's always been the issue of just, as you pointed out, the backswing's horrible, but everything seems to work right at impact.
Yeah. Well, and then it'll be fun to pair that up with face on view. So I'm going to continue with your swing so we can go one golfer at a time here, one twin at a time. So when I do face on view, we're back to P1 setup. I'll draw lead shoulder joint straight down to the ground in yellow. I always make a green line parallel to the trail leg at setup, and then a box around the head in red. So first things first, if we just evaluate your grip, I would say in general, you've got a neutral to semi-strong grip with both hands. You can tell that by where the V's are pointing. The more they're pointed towards that trail shoulder, the stronger they are. But I like seeing typically anything in between trail eye and trail shoulder. So for me, you're within standard deviation. I think golf grips are pretty variable on tour. No one grips it the same. So, as long as it's in a functional position, we're good. So in general here, I like your setup. I'm going to evaluate how you move from P1 to P2. We know that you suck the club inside. So let's see if it changes or anything differently pops up here from the face on view when that happens.
And
so go ahead.
I was going to say, what's your opinion on shaft lean? Because
address or at impact?
Just honestly, when just address when you're just standing there.
Address. Okay. Yeah, no, good question. I do like built-in forward shaft lean. I would typically tell someone to have it pointed towards the inside of the lead thigh. I would say you have it exactly where I would coach it to be. Just think front side of the zipper on your pants is another way to think of it.
You're going to hate mine.
Like he has negative shaft lean at it.
He's betting up for a flop.
Address. It's all about
it's not easy to see this, and I don't think I can zoom in specifically, but I'm going to point it out just because it is important to know that built in at address here, I don't know if you can see that you've got it toed in just a little bit. You've got the club face slightly closed. So you've actually built in a draw bias position here at setup. So it's just good to know that information.
Well, it's funny because in Orlando, you literally said I am set up for a fade. So I don't know what I've been doing, but...
Well, you can also see, again, I can't zoom in, but if you look at the logo on the grip, if your club face was square, it would be directly on top of the shaft, but it's slightly left of center.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. That's why I've been hitting a draw recently.
Yeah. So it, for where your swing's at right now, that might not be a bad thing, but
yeah, definitely.
we can see that as you go to P2, there is zero hinging of the wrist. So hinging is what gets the club up. So because we've already seen that you take the club head inside, this is just another contributing factor that there is no early wrist hinge. I'm not saying that there needs to be, but because there isn't, that is going to be why you're also inside and flat in the takeaway. Now, I would say typically by now, you're going to see a little bit more hinge. A tour player's at about 80 degrees on average here. You have limited hinge.
That's crazy.
Like, I would say tour player average is going to be right about here.
Do you see it as like people will rely on lag almost? Like they bring it so far, but then they almost just whip it down?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of remind me of an old school Phil Mickelson move right now. Phil, back in the day, had late hinge and basically just lagged it in transition, which is what you're going to do. And you're going to do that. That's going to be one of your superpowers, quite honestly, in your current golf swing. I would say your pivot is pretty spectacular. It's right where I like it. I like seeing the head stay very centered and level, which is why I draw that red box. I also use this green line as a reference point to see if you have any hip sway in the backswing, which you do not have any. So there's a lot of good components here. So now at P4, from this view, in general, I'm good with where you're at. But let's see what happens from P4 to P5. Look at that. Look at the lag. This is, I told you, I said this is almost your superpower because
that's crazy.
Look at that. I mean, this is kind of like Sergio-esque now.
Yeah, real loose wrists. Good job.
Yeah. And then what about my head there?
So it's okay. So if your head goes to the front edge of the box at this point in the swing, I'm fine with it. So what typically we would see here is now you've got more weight on your lead foot, which is recommended. But let's see how you move. I'm guessing because you have so much lag stored, your head's going to probably shoot back and away.
Yeah, I always fall back.
But I'm not saying that's a problem. You'll see why. Because when you have this much lag, you're going to unleash that lag at impact, and your head's going to go the opposite. Look, see how your head's already starting to go back?
Yep.
So now you're at P6, and again, superpower, the butt of the club is on top of the golf ball. That is tour quality. I love seeing that. You would see a high handicapper, the butt of the club, which is the end of the grip, is typically out here, a foot behind where your hands are. Oh, yeah. Which is why they hit it fat and thin.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to have much of an issue hitting it fat and thin when your head is pretty much centered in the box and your butt of the club is on top of the golf ball at P6. So now you get forward shaft lean, but the thing that jumps out at me, so right before impact, looks pretty good. Post impact, look at how much club face rotation you have post impact.
Yeah,
now could be a reaction to where you hit it on the face. This could be your standard release pattern. But what I don't like, I think is one of your biggest areas for improvement is this right here. The cupping of that wrist already in your follow through. So we're going to probably see what I call a short stroke follow through. So P9 is probably the easiest position to measure. So when the trail arm is parallel to the ground, the butt of the club should be the furthest away from your chest at this position. It's not easy to see, but this arm is bent.
Yeah.
And I would argue that your hands are pretty close to your chest here. So you would see a tour player with two straight arms here. The club head would be as far away from your head as possible, essentially. And so you're almost like hitting a flop shot. It's like you get down to impact with lag, you get to good impact position, and then you rehinge the club with short arms, alligator arms.
Yeah, just scooping it. I do that all the time with my chip shots too.
But then that follow through kind of looks kind of money.
Exactly.
The logo.
Get back to a tour quality position here.
So Andrew, one thing I think most folks don't know if they're watching this, right? Why is this good? Right? Can you talk pelvis and chest? Because I think a lot of high handicappers, it's the opposite of what you want, right?
Yeah.
The chest is leading and not the pelvis.
Okay, I got it. From a
You know what I mean?
sequencing perspective?
Even just in the
Yeah,
follow through, right?
absolutely.
The picture of the follow through, there's so many people toppled
Oh.
over with their chest.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, so the way I explain this position is extension. And so typically we want the belt buckle to finish closer to the target
Yeah.
than the buttons on our golf shirt. Right?
There you go.
Really?
And so
Yeah.
that
Because otherwise,
means
if you
that
look at a lot of slicers, guys, a lot of slicers are looking like shitty golfers are looking like this,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
So they've gone
that makes
so
sense.
far in and over. The only thing they can do is look like this at the end.
Yeah.
Whereas what Andrew's saying
Yeah.
is you guys have done a nice job of kind of manipulating everything to actually look a little bit more like that.
Yeah, and you look very
play.
relaxed here, and you're very balanced over this heel, which is spectacular. Like this yellow line, I didn't move it, but notice how you're balanced over that yellow line.
Yeah.
Again, a high handicapper, they're typically going to look like they're going to be more back on their trail foot typically.
Yep.
And or they're going to be bent over with their chest facing the ground and their head 2 feet closer to the target than yours. And
Yeah.
that's not a joke. You'll see guys out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
why
my
they get
dad looks
those-
like. You know, so
And but overall, like I said, there's clarity in where we need to go with your golf swing. And I think the face on view is a little bit more reactionary to what we're going to change. We're going to initially focus on your backswing plane from P1 to P4.
Yeah.
And then a lot of things are going to clean up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That makes a
I'm
lot of
wondering
sense.
now, Coach Andrew, as we get into the next golf swing, I would love. I just kind of sensing that this might be like a twin versus twin scenario here, right? Who has the shittiest swing to start,
It's
Mm.
but
I
who,
can already
who
tell you
excels
it's
the fastest to improvement, like most improved, you know?
it'll be me.
Oh, I love that.
I have more to improve on.
Well, but let's be honest. The only thing that matters is score at the end of the day, right? So
Well, he does usually beat me by
Yeah.
a stroke or two.
okay, well, that's not that far apart, so that's a pretty level match. So
It is. It's either 84, 85 or 72, 73.
Yeah, pretty much every time.
that's awesome. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
next
that's
time
gonna
we
be a
do this, we're
good,
gonna get these.
twin challenge.
Yeah, next time we do this, we're gonna get these videos not to be so blown out. That's more of a screen share issue, so we'll
And
figure it
such
out.
horrible angles. I don't know who filmed
That
that.
too. Yeah, a little bit of
Yeah.
combo
You
pack
filmed
here.
mine.
But luckily, Coach Andrew can suss through the
Yeah,
bullshit here
don't-
and figure it out.
The down the line camera positioning is equally shitty. So thank you guys.
Yeah, that's good. At least one's not worse.
So again, we're just going to go through the swing P1 to P2 and let's see if you're twinning again. Yep.
Holy smokes.
He did tell me to swing more inside, so I swung really far inside.
You don't want inside on the
Yep.
backswing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always tried because you already notice it here is I'll bring it inside and then I still drop the shoulder over it. I've always tried going up and then dropping back, but I'll just chunk the shit out of it every single time.
It's because you're
Yes.
going inside to
We-
inside.
Yes.
Because your feel versus real is fucked. But
Yep.
to be fair, Andrew, we're looking for
So-
standard deviation, but what tour player? There's a handful do rip it
Yeah.
kind of inside. One of them just kind of won recently.
Oh man.
That's
You know,
unpopular.
Fitzpatrick kind of
Or-
rips it a little
Oh,
bit. in.
Fitzpatrick.
Right.
Yeah.
Fowler.
No.
Ricky Fowler
Ricky
does a
Fowler.
little bit, but
Not
You
as much anymore, but
no, not as
An
much.
old friend of mine, Colt Nost. He did.
Yep.
He was big, but you probably don't know his swing. But
But
yeah,
most
no,
folks are
it
club
is
head out and under, not in and over, right? So
correct. And you can be what we would call flat as long as you come down on plane and get into a good delivery position. It's fun, like it's playable, right? Which
Yep.
is again,
Hardly.
let's be realistic. You guys shoot low 70s, so like that's
it sure
already
doesn't feel very playable. I've been hitting shanks recently. A
Yeah.
lot of
you can see
Okay.
why.
Well, yeah. Again, standard deviation here. If the hands are more, think middle of chest is just your good reference point, which ends up being in between green and yellow. You're way inside of that, so your hand depth is maximized.
It's
But
so
think about
bad.
it. So you maximize hand depth, and then you actually don't have good hand depth at P4, it's okay, but
Yeah, I mean, one thing I've been trying to work on too is like, I mean, a couple months ago,
Yeah.
my swing was so stupidly long. Like you could see the club face all the way past my right shoulder, and so I think that's been also messing with me too. It's like
so it
I
goes
don't
down here.
know. I don't know where to stop the swing, to be honest. The top of the swing. Yeah, you could literally see the club there. It was
Well, if that's the case, this is a big upgrade. So you're in a better position there. And honestly, I would the depth of the club is pretty spot on. So
But again, slightly
you're in a better
misleading because the camera angle's not perfect, right?
True.
But we can
Yeah.
tell generals, yeah.
Yeah, because general, if I go shoulder to shoulder, we can see that arm plane's close enough to
Yeah.
shoulder tilt. So then
So you're not listing as much
you
as
have
your
the-
brother, I guess, right?
That's correct.
That is so steep.
So I would say we're now at P5. Now, in comparison to your brother, you are 2 inches shallower than your brother, right? So your brother was on yellow. Devlin, you're a little bit below. Club face is still closed to the shaft, even more so. Again, I don't have an issue with that. I'm just pointing it out. I can also see that you have a soft or slightly bent lead elbow. I'm just pointing these things out. I can also see that your head is tilted a little bit to the left, which is going to be a draw bias move. So what I like about your swing right here is that you've got the club on plane way earlier than your brother. So now we're in a draw bias position, club face slightly closed to the shaft, and it's coming down on green. Coming down on green is your draw bias position. You're in a great delivery position here at P6. Club face looking, again, down at the golf ball. So if I go leading edge to spine angle, similar. Then we go down to impact. What I'm looking for at impact on a draw bias golfer is going to be slight trail elbow bend underneath lead arm. You're checking those boxes. Maybe just a little bit more of right glute being visible here would be helpful. But in a drawer of the golf ball, a lot of people talk about rotation. I don't think you need as much rotation as some people think. And I would say you're just slightly under-rotated here with your hips at impact. But let's keep moving forward, and let's see how you release this. So similar thing here, we're going to see, I can still see the butt of the club, but I can't see the club head. So that tells me that you're rehinging really quick on the forward side, because you'll see some tour players where the hands disappear, the butt of the club disappears, and then the shaft is still down like this. And that's because the club head is passing their hands at a much slower rate than yours. It's still happening rapidly, very fast, but your club head is passing your hands and your forearms are twisting and rolling really fast.
And why would you say that happens? Is it because I'm trying to save it every time? Almost?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I figured.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting component because you actually have like maximum lag stored, and then you don't ever actually get to a full extension position in the follow through, which is not a common pairing, because if you lag it well, you would typically release your arms towards the target just naturally, but you're kind of like keeping your hands back close to you.
Yeah.
Which is also, it can produce speed for sure, because you're helping put on the brakes of the handle, so now the club head whips past your hands.
Yeah, it almost feels like I'm stuck on the finish, which is so weird, because sometimes I don't even finish the swing, and I'm not even trying to do that, which is just such a weird feeling. It's like I kind of get here and I start sticking this right elbow up through the swing. I don't know if you've seen that before.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But what's so interesting about evaluating both of your swings, like there's a lot of parts that are actually tour quality, and then there's some parts that are just like so far out of standard deviation, which is what makes coaching fun for me. Yeah. And it's also, it's a puzzle figuring out, okay, now we have this information. It's like, if we fix this one aspect of your swing, like Spencer was referencing back at the beginning, which is where most golfers get lost. It's like anyone can look at this swing and identify a bunch of problems, but having a clarified game plan that is a clear plan of action for you to then go execute the one thing and it changes gradually over time, but has a massive impact on your confidence and conviction in what you're doing on the practice tee. And then that practice session starts translating over to the golf course. That's whenever you become a mental badass on the golf course, because you're no longer stuck in a position of like just guessing and throwing shit at the wall.
Yep. Yeah, Gary Player, I
Very
believe, or maybe it was Lee Trevino. He's like the when he was back on tour, right? He's like, the person that can guess more often than not where the ball's going to go is going to be the winner. Right? It's like, I can guess better than you.
That.
Right? So the more that you are just in shock and awe every time the ball flies off the face, then you're kind of screwed. What I wonder, Andrew, for you, when you see this, typically these movement patterns, right, in and over, let's just simplify it, typically result in somebody that maybe isn't in good shape, like these guys seem to be, to hump the shaft way more than these guys hump it. So
I know,
a lot, you know, because they're staying in their tilt pretty well, even with all this stuff happening. Normally, guys, you would see a lot of this action, because you're just so stuck. But you guys somehow maintain some good angles and even into your follow through. So it leads me to ask, like, what injuries do you guys have, if any? Do you guys have any, like,
I've been having issues with my right wrist for a while. It's honestly, it's fine right now, but it's been off and on where sometimes it hurts to literally hinge like that, and then also through it. So that's what I've been struggling with for like a couple of years now.
Well, a lot of saving at the bottom, you know, that kind of thing. But like I'm saying,
I think it's definitely the flipping through and trying to save it rather than just like actually keeping it forward like that and swinging through the ball.
But no shoulder pain, no back pain, no hip pain, none of that.
I've had lower back pain when I was playing in college, I think just from walking all the courses, but it was right side, like way down low. So I'm not sure what that would do with the swing.
Yeah. I guess what I'm pointing out is that people that would be in worse shape than you would not be able to do what you're doing through impact. So Andrew's a lot more knowledgeable than I am in this particular category, but I say that because I think the changes will come faster for you guys because you're not weak physically. Like you're clearly strong.
Yeah, I think the issue is just flexibility. Like we don't really stretch that much. To be honest,
I don't know if you need to, based on what we're seeing.
Yeah, it's a common misconception. I would argue that when your mechanics change and improve, we're gonna make your golf swing more functional, which will make you feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Because in general, what's going on in the golf swing when it's an inefficient, violent motion, you're displacing a lot of force and stress on the body unnecessarily. And it's my job as a coach to help you get into positions that basically de-stress the body. So there's a lot to upgrade here, but at the same time, you are what I would call, there's motor morons in golf, which is the majority of golfers. And then there's some elite athletes. And I would put you into that category only because you guys are outside of standard deviation, and then you're like in tour player positions, like just very uncommon. You don't see that drastic change that often.
No idea what we're doing, but
we said we were going to beat you up more than this, but we can't beat you up too much.
I was expecting way worse. Not all this glaze coming from Andrew here tour.
I'm a very positive guy, but I mean, the reality is when we talk about injuries of you guys, it's more the scarring that you guys are recovering from your mental game, right? Your mental game shit. So
it was so bad in college, like way worse than it is now. Because honestly, when I hit a bad shot, I don't really care, but it's more or less when I'm over the ball. But one bad shot would ruin my entire round in college and high school. It was so bad. Lots of broken clubs too. So.
But just imagine swinging the swing here, but swinging it with just your lead arm, right? So, and the reason I say that is that there is no way that you could actually suck the club in that much if you didn't have two arms on it.
Yeah.
So when you look at the path of least resistance for a club, imagine I've got my lead arm only and the club is kind of extended out. I can hold that weight, right? But the moment I do this to go dramatically inside, I need this other arm to help me save it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, I'm not sure where Andrew's going to land with you guys on his drills or whatnot, But a lot
So
of
it's one of
times
my
just
favorites.
swinging one arm, you can't actually get super off plane if you just swing with your lead arm. Now,
Yeah.
if you swing with the trail arm, you can kind of go, because a lot of times your
Yeah,
trail
you
arm
can do
is the
about anything.
stronger, is the dominant arm. But lead arm is really hard. And the only way you can balance that weight of the club is to kind of line it up with the bones and everything, right? So that everything's here versus like,
Well,
you
and
wouldn't
that's a
it's not gonna-
great reference of a drill, because what also is going to happen is it's going to help him hinge the club up.
Exactly right. Yeah, because you need to unweight the club. So when I used to coach a long time ago, it was the hinging of the wrists, huge deal, and generally the body's going to react to whatever that club face is doing. Right? You guys are doing all sorts of stuff to get that club face back online, but the hinging and the rotation of the wrists is like the hugest part of where that club head's going to go.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'll say this, when you told me in Orlando to start swinging more to the inside, it is the most uncomfortable thing, and I've been doing it ever since, and it still feels like it's so forced just to swing a little bit inside, and it just makes me feel even more stuck. So I don't really know.
Generic like
why
wide
it
advice
feels
is
like
not
that.
going to work, right? So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and inside, it all depends on your interpretation, right? So you're sucking the club head way too far inside.
Yeah.
And what we were talking about, I don't remember specifically, but talking about swinging in to out to impact, which you are doing. That's actually one of the best parts of your swing.
Yeah.
From P6 to P7, just before impact to impact, that's where your club's moving the best, which is why you can hit a draw.
Yep.
But
Think-
there's so many other
so-
aspects to your swing that are not draw bias that it's pretty amazing how you do get into those positions.
Yeah, because I dropped that left shoulder so far over the ball. It looks so stupid.
Are you talking about this right now?
Like right when I get to the top, I almost kind of go like that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So here, so as we evaluate here, again, we know your hands are inside, but I would say you're actually getting into a better hinge position now. Your head location is still good, centered. No hip sway. Really good shoulder turn. So in general, I would say this pivot's in a good spot because your shoulder turn is just past 90 degrees. Hip turns, approximately 45 degrees. So one unique move you have here, this is a very Jack Nicklaus move, which is tilting your head away from the target. I don't know if you can see that, how you're theoretically, if your head was full of water, you're pouring water out of your left ear right now, just slightly.
Yeah.
And so what that helps a lot of golfers do, it helps you shallow it out. And that is your power move right now. I would argue right here. See how you're going into more side bend? Hips
Yeah,
are
I
moving
should
towards
have
the
weight. Yeah.
So
There's a lot of power
it's okay.
in there.
Your head is dropped significantly. You'll see this in some really powerful golfers because now, guess what? In the golf swing, if you go from a tall position to a short position, you've now loaded like you're at the bottom of a squat, getting ready to jump through the ball.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, and what does this also do? If you get closer to the ground with your head, most golfers are going to respond by their hips are going to be far away from the camera right here, and you're going to store lag, which you're doing. So again, your superpower, look at this angle between wrist and forearm, is you store lag really, really nicely. And because you got so low, well, the thing that makes your swing super interesting and going to show your athleticism, you've added a variable of a bent lead arm. So in time, would I probably have your head maybe a little bit higher at impact? Probably so. Why?
Yeah.
Because that'll allow you to have that lead arm straight, which is a way more reliable angle versus how much bend do you have in that arm. So,
And you said you've been
that's
shanking
really-
it occasionally?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
a shank zone with that lead arm. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. And so now, if I was just looking at this position, this is pretty spectacular, right? So we've got all of your weight on your lead foot, or a high percentage,
Yeah, high
weightless trail
percentage,
foot, I call it. Forward shaft lean. What did I talk about earlier? The handle being pointed towards the inside of that lead thigh. Love that. I like that your head's kind of looking down and back towards your trail foot. Again, that's the Jack Nicklaus look at impact. So this is where you and your brother look a little bit different. You've added that piece in. But you both get to good impact positions, just different. So
What about
I think you have less flip than your brother too. You got less flip.
Yeah,
you do.
and
Right
about him?
here, this
He
is
sways really far past the yellow line. Is that anything bad, or is that just his move on the ball?
yeah,
where
it's his
he
move on the ball. I have no issue with it. Rarely do I have, I mean, it happens, but rarely do I have issues with golfers being on the lead side of yellow. It is much more common to have golfers way closer to the green line at this point in the swing.
Yeah.
That's your problem area. When weight is forward, a lot less bad things happen, especially when your head is still in between these two lines.
Yeah.
So-
Which is
yeah,
crazy
so if my
flexible.
head was, what if my head was also way forward as well with my body?
That's when
That'd
it's a
be
problem.
fucked.
Yeah. This is actually very powerful. So
Yep.
what I want you to understand from a physics perspective, if you feel like your head is going up and back, guess where the club head's going to go? Down and out. So you're going to create extension away from, if your head's moving one way, you'll see this in long drive hitters. Their heads are going this way.
Yeah.
The club head's going this way because they're both extending at the exact same time.
Did we ever
Interesting.
get the data, Andrew, on, because we're doing irons now and that's all we're going to have time for, but what iron is this, guys? I don't recall.
This is 7-iron.
How far do you normally hit it in the air?
185 to
180.
190.
Yeah.
And then what would your drivers be in the air?
That I still don't know. You could
If
say
You guys
it's
work
a
at
hot
PJ
day,
Superstore. What the hell are you talking about?
I've hit like the new Quantum and the QI4D, and I was hitting like 330 carry. But I think with my
Do you
current
juicing
driver,
up
it
the
goes
simulator?
Like, nah,
put it
nah.
at 10,000 elevation.
I think Andrew, what do you think? With that move particular, right? You throw a driver in there. I mean, we could get it 310 in the air, right? I think.
Oh, yeah.
As long as everything's kind of matched up. I mean, I might not do it every time, but there's a lot of energy in both of your swings. If we can get them more efficient, I mean, boy, I think you guys could hit it further in addition to straighter. That's for sure.
Oh, I know. Well, on average, we get around, you say 123 club speed.
I mean, that's a
And
lot
if
for how
obviously-
that's a lot for how inefficient this is.
Yes.
That's,
Well,
great.
I'll
That's
say
really
this,
good.
too, is like, I fade my driver, if that makes sense. And I don't really know what I'm doing differently either. I will have to take a video of it.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
look at that.
I
next
mean-
I have a
time,
video of it.
But it's such a weird thing because it feels like I'm doing the exact same swing, but it somehow always fades, or I'll hit like a big pull, which I don't want to do. So it's just, and it's spinny.
A lot
So
of
I
that's
want- I
ball
wanna
position
point-
and setup and other stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah. And where you hit it on the face. That's,
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand how much of an impact that has. So you can see here, you actually have a straight trail arm in comparison to your brother, who's a little bit more bent. We can't see this arm as clearly, but I still think there's a little bit too much bend here.
Mhm.
Both hands could be, essentially, there could be a little bit more length in both arms here.
You want those things to just like pretty much be sticking
like-
straight out.
Like that. Right?
Well, in general, yes, but
hard.
again, I'm not telling you to physically put yourself in that position. But if you evaluate tour players, which in my coaching I'll show you a lot of comparatives, they're extended there, and it's just they're passing through that position because they're delivering their speed.
I think that's the key,
appropriately.
right, Andrew? It's just a byproduct of other things that have gone well. It's not something they're forcing. Now, you can
Yes.
isolate the movements in a little chipping pattern or pitching pattern where you're just like really trying to
Yeah.
get structure, as Martin Chuck would say. But when you're
Yes.
ripping a 7-iron, I mean, you can't fake that. It's too late.
Yeah. And I think another reason we swing like this too, at least for me, because whenever I hit anything inside of 80 yards, I'll do a super steep swing, which causes me to, keep those arms open. I don't know if that's something I want to change or need to, because it feels very
It'll all
good with my
change.
wedges. Yeah,
Everything
I'm
will
sure it
change.
will. That's true. Yeah, it all will.
You
But
can't
I
have
tired
5
back.
different golf swings for all your different clubs. You know what I mean? Come on,
I think
guys.
I do.
Yeah,
I
that's-
think every single
No,
single club is a different swing.
So just pointing out again the positives here in your finished position, very balanced over your
Yeah.
right heel, very extended in your legs and extended in your spine. So when I talk about extension in the spine, if I draw a line from the middle of the pelvis, basically up through the middle of your neck, see how that line's angled a little bit away from the target? That's a tall spine. That's an extended spine versus a high handicapper. Their head could be all the way out here.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So you see a lot of patterns in both of your swings where you're really optimizing power. What I would say, if I could get very basic and simple with evaluating both of your swings, there's not a lot of good structure at times, and your backswing planes are both where there's just an obvious area for improvement.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
not too pretty.
It gets
No,
the
but
job done.
I was coming into this thinking we were going to really rip you apart more.
That's what I was
But
expecting.
I know, but what you're doing, and Andrew's coaching a lot more folks than I am these days, but what you're doing is extremely normal on the backswing. You guys are just doing a better job of recovering than most people do.
Yeah.
Which I think gives Andrew a huge opportunity, because if you guys can do quality reps under his guidance with quality feedback, and that's what I mean by reps, he's going to teach you how to watch your videos and actually understand what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
That means every time you go practice, you're going to be getting better instead of getting worse. Because right now you're going out there and probably getting worse-ish every day.
Oh, easily
Getting worse.
I'll try. I mean, I think I tried 3 different putter grips and 4 different swing thoughts throughout that entire round. So if that makes you feel any.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, so let's just kind of talk about what it'll look like moving forward.
Yeah,
So
lay it out.
Now what I'll do from here is I've kind of pointed out, we'll call all the problems of your golf swings, all the inefficiencies. Now I'm going to tackle what is the number one most important thing for each of your golf swings, build a game plan around that, following what I call my best method: body drills, exercise drills, and swing drills. I think where traditional golf lessons kind of don't do the job is they're not giving you an opportunity to work on your golf swing every single day. And I don't mean you have to hit balls every single day, but if you have a body drill and you can work on a pattern at home, in the office, in the gym, any golf practice facility, now I've given you more of an opportunity to change a pattern because we got to chisel away at it. And so you'll have 3 different drills focused on one problem in your golf swing. And so then it's your responsibility to check in with me face on and down the line of you executing the drills.
Yep.
Because I'm going to do voiceover and lines just like I did here. Now, this was a long drawn out process, but I'll do voiceover and lines on your drills so that you can make tweaks and adjustments and make sure that you're practicing correctly. Because when we talk about your mental performance, the biggest thing that's going to change your mental performance in this process is it's one thing for me to show you exactly what to do, but it's another thing for you to check in with me. And then I say, you guys are executing it perfectly. Now that gives you the mental clarity to say, okay, I've got it. Now I can go rep this out. No one wants to be the person who's like, oh, man, I just had a perfect golf lesson. Now I'm on my own. Am I doing it right? I'm not sure. I don't know if I should keep doing this because I'm not doing it correctly.
Yeah.
That's why golfers don't get better, in my opinion.
Yep.
So it's really, I want to put you in a position to say, Andrew's confirmed that I'm doing it right. Now I can go do more of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. What he just said is huge, because when I was coaching and every week I'm meeting with somebody, this predated Edufy Coach Now, the thing that I ended up building. It was, well, I haven't seen you in a week and now we're working on your grip again. And it's not because they didn't want to practice. They doubted what they were doing in their practice. So they just felt it was better to not practice. So for you guys, you might go out there and just keep practicing anyway, but there's always some doubt. And I think where Andrew's found the magic here is that feedback loop, shrinking it.
Yeah,
exactly. Because I really believe this. I found out on my own through coaching for 6 years remotely full time. And I call it my 4 C's. When you have clarity in a game plan and it's confirmed on video, that means you're looking at your own swing and you're confirming that you're doing what I'm asking you to do. So clarity confirmed on video creates confidence. Now you have confidence to go execute. And when you execute and you start seeing a change in performance and outcome, now you start developing conviction because you know exactly what, why, and how your golf swing is changing for the better.
Yeah.
That's a completely different position than before, which is when you guys got on here, you're like, my mental game sucks. But you guys quite honestly don't know why your mental game sucks. And I've just kind of explained to you that's why everyone's mental game sucks.
Yep.
Because they just don't have a roadmap. If you don't have a solution, well, then, yeah, you're just going to try one thing, try another thing, try another thing. And that'd be like going to the doctor. They throw 10 pills at you and you have some side effect happen, but you don't know which one it was.
Yeah.
Like,
very true.
It's definitely guess and check on the range every time we go.
So Andrew, walk us through here as we wrap up. You kind of alluded to it in such a way, but I think for anybody that's actually going to be checking out this episodes and kind of following the golfhackz podcast that this is the first official episode of, we're going to keep in touch with you guys over a 90-day period. So we're going to do 2 more of these is what I would anticipate, and kind of a monthly check-in, see where we land. Andrew's going to be using Coach Now to stay in contact with you and deliver you those feedback points. But Andrew, is there anything else that if somebody's watching this or wanting to kind of follow along in this, you guys will be posting some stuff on social media along the way. We don't know exactly how it's going to turn out, but from a normal kind of coaching standpoint, how else would we wrap this up to kind of set these guys off for success?
Yeah, well, what I want you guys out there as an audience to understand, what I'm going to run them through is what I call my tour proven pathway. And so it's 90 days of intensive coaching. So it's a built for you, done with you coaching model. Customized game plan based off of the swing audit that I just went through with these guys. Now I'm also going to do a putting audit. I'm going to do a driver audit. So then their game plan is going to be built based on what I see in all of the above. Okay, so now you're going to have your game plan of what I expect you to go execute whenever you can. Whenever you get it in, you're going to check back in with me. And so there's just going to be constant communication back and forth between you and I. And until we get the form right and until it feels natural for you, we don't move on to the next progression. And so we move progression by progression, one thing at a time. And slow and steady progress actually has big impacts on scorecard and your confidence and conviction in what you're doing. So that's going to be the experience for 90 days. And every student, some students that I work with, they'll go through 90 days with me and we'll go through 2 progressions and they'll shave 10 shots off their scorecard. And another student might go through 10 progressions and shave 10 shots off their scorecard. So it's really, it depends on the student and what they need.
Right. So I think that probably is the hardest part maybe in your experience, right? So where do people fail in this kind of remote coaching side? And I think it'd be good advice, good things for them to consider, but also anybody listening to this, like if I'm working on my game, where am I fucking it up? Like as a student.
Yeah.
In this case, it might not just be taking advantage of the actual relationship they've got, but I mean, what else? How else are people screwing up?
Yeah, no, it's funny. One of the ways that I coach is I always say, what do my best students do?
Yeah.
And I have what I call a check-in form. Every single time my students check in with me, they're giving me 3 data sets, which is what are you working on? Why are you working on it? How did it go? And there's a very important reason I ask all 3 of those questions that kind of seem obvious, but here's why. Because I believe it's so important that the student knows when they go to the driving range, why are they going there? What am I going to work on today? If I say it out loud, it's very different than I'm going to hit a large bucket of balls, because that's what we all do, right? So now it's different. Now it's like, okay, I'm going to work on my golf swing from P1 to P4 and getting more on plane instead of being flat and laid off, right? Both of you guys fall into that category. So now you have clarity on what you're going to do. Why is that important? Well, it's going to help me stay on plane longer, which makes my golf swing more efficient, probably takes stress off of certain joints in my body that I don't even know I'm putting stress on right now. Cool. And then I said, what, why? And then how? How did it go? I hit 100 balls today. 80 of them were push draws, really controlled shots. 20% of them were slices. Not sure why. Andrew, can you help me with this? Cool. So that's what an ideal check-in looks like every single time. And when students don't do that, I think they're doing themselves a disservice by not becoming the educated golfer that I'm trying to help them become. Because at the end of the day, I want to empower all of my students to be great self-assessors, which means that they can also increase their on-course performance by being able to understand their mishits when they do occur.
Money.
Yes.
Money. All
Very
right.
cool.
So I want to add a little more color here, and then I'll pass it to you, the twins here, and you guys can wrap it up with us. So like I said, building coach now, I got to oversee not only in golf, but across 80 plus sports, how Olympians train, right? How professional athletes train, how world record holders train. I got to see all of this in addition to how their coaches work. So as you guys are taking on this adventure with us for 90 days, and anybody else listening, you kind of try and tweak your own game a little bit. What Andrew just said actually is the most important piece. Is Olympic athletes think about what they're going to do, they then go do it, and then they journal or think about again what they just did. Most amateurs just show up to the place, do the thing, and leave. They didn't think about what they're going to do, and they definitely don't think about what just happened. So if you guys can get into the mental habit of journaling, and you can use Coach Now to do this, or if anybody's listening to this, you can use a lot of different tools to just journal, let's say. But have a plan, like Andrew said, do the thing, and then recap, summarize, think about the plan, however you wanted to phrase that. And if you do that over and over and over again, you're going to get better so much faster. But the crux of it is when you're doing the thing, you need feedback. So whether that be a video camera or a phone in today's modern day, right? It's going to be a phone. It's going to be a training aid. It's going to be an alignment rod. It's going to be something to give you feedback that isn't only the ball, because the ball will lie to you in these early days. So Andrew was saying, if we hit 80% plus draws, like that's good evidence, but you might be manipulating a bunch of other stuff to get that push draw. So David Ledbetter told me one time, which I found very interesting. He was a TrackMan user, and he's like, well, TrackMan's okay, but if you get a really good player on here, they can cheat. The reason being is that once they start looking at the data and they go, oh, well, I was a little bit in and I was a little steep, whatever it might be, that tour player will just go, oh, I'll just do little tweaks right down at impact. They're not actually fixing the reason why they were there in the first place. So you guys are good athletes, and you might just go and just kind of cheat it a little bit at the bottom to get the ball result that you want. So if you're out there working on technical improvement, the ball has to be a piece of information, but not all the information. And in some cases, it's better just to do it with no ball so that you can work on these movement patterns, then introduce a ball, then go back and forth. Because when I was coaching, if you got so wrapped up in the ball, you actually couldn't make changes because you were too obsessed with the result. So what I would say, and Andrew, we'll work you guys through this a little bit, is kind of thinking about it like periodization. So you're going to be working through these phases, and Andrew's got his own way of looking at it. But when I was coaching, a lot of it was just kind of owning the phases, being really committed to knowing that if you're working on these things today, you got to trust that the ball flight will improve after a certain period of time, depending on how much work is going to be there. But you got to stick with the plan. And Andrew's so good at doing like, this is the one thing we're doing. So don't be in a hurry to see the ball fly better is what I'm saying.
No, absolutely. And that speaks to progressions. This was the verb he's calling phases. I call them progressions. So for example, if I give you a drastic change, it's going to be a body drill first, which means no equipment. Yeah. And then an exercise drill might use a resistance band working on the same pattern. Now it gives you an external load so you can feel it a little bit differently. And then I might have you do a dry swing, and then, which means no ball, just working on the swing and confirming on video that you're doing the new movement. And then once you are confirmed, now we might be doing half swings with a ball on a tee. Like I am literally progressing you through patterns all the way to the point where sometimes I have to educate people of like, what we do well in a net doesn't mean you're going to do it well on a driving range when there's 50 other people there.
Yep.
The outside perception will affect you. And then you have to take that to the course. And so I also believe as a coach, setting the student up for success mentally of like, I know this is going to be challenging for you, but that's okay. Just check in, give me information. Just because you had a shitty practice session today from a hitting the ball perspective, your form and technique is what I care about most. Is it changing?
I would do 90-day programs similar to Andrew back in the day, and I can't tell you how many people wanted to quit after 60 days. So they're like, I'm not getting any better. But that's what the ball was telling them that. Everything else was saying the opposite. I'm like, that. Just stay with me. And then around 75-ish days, and it was almost like just fucking on repeat. It was like, now I'm on a whole nother trajectory with my game. right?
Yep.
So I think what we're trying to set you guys up for, and specifically Andrew, is more of like, there's a period where these changes are really important, but it can set you up for a lifetime of better golf rather than all these quick fix Band-Aid bullshit.
Yes, and that's very important to us. I'd like to play golf for as long as possible without destroying my joints.
Yeah, because I can play golf.
We're already started.
Sadly, I've got a lot of injuries and spinal stuff, but I play golf maybe 4 or 5 times a year, not nearly as much as I would like. But I can go shoot low 70s or under par every single time.
That's impressive.
Because I understand what my tendencies are. I understand what my move is.
Yeah.
Like, I know my game, right? And that's the goal of this, or anybody watching this. Like, you got to understand your thing.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So we're going to wrap this up, boys. Give us some words of wisdom here, the twins, on how we're going to close this episode out. Yeah. What are we doing? How do we close this episode out? This is our first one. We don't know how to end it.
I don't know either, but
For a podcast, it's interesting how to close it out.
I mean, I would just like to say that we're really excited to do this, and not just to improve our golf games, but to also gain a ton of knowledge over the swing, because we're practically clueless when it comes to this. It's all just one little feel, and I'm like, sure, that works, whatever. And then you'll come back a week later to the range, you're like, shit, what was that feel I just had? But it's more or less like learn a ton about the golf swing in order, because we're going to be diving into the golf industry here soon anyways, possibly with,
Oh, yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So it's, if you're talking to pros, you want to have some knowledge about their swings and what they do and kind of relate to them in those ways rather than like have zero knowledge over anything. But cool, your swing's nice. I like it. That's it.
Yeah. And that reminds me of one other thing I wanted to address here for the audience, and while we're trying to figure this out, is that within our ecosystem of golf companies, so Andrew's the coach of our coaches here and the coach of golfers, but I work with startups. And so we're going to let you guys, the twins here, use a lot of cool technology in addition to what normally would happen in Andrew's coaching practice. So there's going to be some AI visualization tools, some other training aid tools. We're going to use an app called Shot Pattern to actually track your rounds, help you plan them out once we get to the more of the on-course kind of gaming and scoring piece of this equation. And then once this great company here, Chipped, goes live, you'll then have the launch monitor in a ball, so we can work with your putting remotely, even in a crazier way than ever has been possible before. So you guys are going to be the guinea pig of a lot of stuff that Andrew mostly and myself a little bit will kind of shepherd along with you, which will add to the development story. Yeah. So I think it'll be dope.
We are very excited.
Sweet. Andrew, why don't you say something profound, and then we'll exit.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, guys, you're obviously here for a reason. As long as you're willing to show up, put in some work, and be coachable, it's gonna be fun seeing how far you guys go. So you guys have plenty of talent. I know we're having fun on here, and there's not a loft issue with you two. It's definitely, let's get some refinement, let's get some focus in your practice sessions, and an open line of communication with me, and it should be really fun.
Yeah, for sure. We are done being shitty. That's for sure. We're getting sick and tired of questioning every swing we make on the course.
That is how we're going to sign off. We are done being shitty. All right, boys.
Yeah,
I'm going to stop
being shitty. No more law.
Perfect.